The movie may not have any hot dogs, but it's got something even better. Extremely outdated and problematic 80s sexual humor.
The fuck is this?
Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and however else you wish to self-identify, to The Fuck Is This? A podcast about forgotten movies that are probably forgotten for really legitimate reasons. My name is Kaz Lesgard, and this is Jameson Rafter.
Hello, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day long weekend. Or not long weekend, but I intend to make it a long weekend.
I got some beers for this show, so we're going to be drinking throughout this, and today's...
Responsibly, because we have to be on our best behavior, because we are having our first ever guest on the show.
We have an actual guest for the show this time.
Kaz has...
We finally realized that podcasts have guests, and you might be interested in hearing someone speak that wasn't the two of us for a while. Because really, we've gone about as far with that model as we can probably get.
We've gotten as far as we can take you, and I personally am happy that Kaz took it upon himself to invite a stranger into my home.
Yeah. Well, you know, until we get around to having a recording studio or whatnot, you know, it'll probably be like that. We can start recording these at my place sometime soon. I just figured we should do it here because you have the big TV.
And I don't know where you live, and I don't care to know.
It's probably for the best.
I heard rumors of like a vagabond lifestyle. Like,
from who?
No one. I'm trying to start shit.
I'm gonna invite you over to my house. I'm gonna open the door, and it's gonna be like Lenny from The Simpsons, where I'm
Please don't tell anyone how I live.
It's just a table. I've got a single can of beans and a spoon.
Welcome to my home. We have to hurry. The real owners will be here soon. Like, oh, Kaz, and you're like, I'm serious.
That's a good idea. It's every week we do a podcast in a new house, and we have
just
to
B&E podcast.
We have to wrap up the podcast before the real owner comes back.
We just hear a garage door open. Like, oh, you know what that sound means? It's time to.
And now on to a new segment called Run! So it's appropriate that I stopped off the liquor store because we're gonna need a few drinks to get through today's movie. Today's movie was first shown to me by our guest. I went to theater training at Studio 58 with him, and we became very good friends. He's an actor. You may have seen him and his fabulous beard in commercials for Twizzlers and Mexican avocados. And
both those things.
Appropriate for this movie, he is also an avid skier and ex-ski instructor.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, because last episode, if you remember, we left you on something of a cliffhanger. We are doing...
That's a mountain joke.
Didn't even plan that. We're going off of yet another ski movie. So without further ado, please welcome our first guest to the show.
I wish I had music to play him on, like the Tonight Show music or something.
Well, but you have editing software. You can just add the music later.
Oh, God, you're right.
You can.
Oh, my God.
We can even ask him what intro music he'd like to be introduced to.
And then ignore him.
And then add to...
whatever royalty-free music he chooses.
So enjoy this fabulous intro music as we welcome to the podcast, Stephen Beaver.
Hey, Stephen. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for being our first guest.
I'm the very first guest?
You're the very first guest.
I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
We've done 5 of these, and around this one we just realized, we should probably get somebody on here.
It'll help legitimize us a little bit.
But am I the first person that you've asked, or am I the first guest? Because I imagine that you guys have asked people, and people are like, no, I don't want to do that.
No, both. No, you're the first person we've asked, and you're the first.
We could lie and say, like, Bradley Cooper said he'd get back to us, but, just impossible to nail down. He was...
well, if I'm one below Bradley Cooper, I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, guys.
I will say, Kaz mentioned that you had a very righteous beard, and he was not exaggerating.
It's quite righteous. Yeah, it's been going on for a long, long time. It's not like as long as it has been.
Like
in the
amazing
past.
Wizard length of a beard.
Almost, yeah. It's almost Gandalfish, but it's more of like a Santa Claus length, but not the color.
Yeah. It's like the Santa Claus Tim Allen, just mid-transformation.
Compliment? Yeah, I'll take it as a compliment. Yeah.
Well, especially now because you're starting to get some great tips in there.
Buddy, it's been
some excellent great tips.
It's been great for a little while, right up
Yeah.
in here. Yeah, I like it.
Well, welcome to Beardcast, where we talk about, So, Stephen, you are here today because you are the one that introduced me to today's film, which, if I have not mentioned before, is entitled Hot Dog the Movie. And the reason we're doing Hot Dog the Movie today is because on our last episode, Jameson showed me a movie called Aspen Extreme. Are you familiar with that?
No, I have not seen Aspen Extreme. I bet it's one of those movies that, as a former ski instructor, I should have watched as part of just like my general learning of how to be a ski instructor and like the general public, but I have not seen Aspen Extreme.
You would have found that it is a very heightened version of what it means to be a ski instructor, unless it involved sleeping with multiple women, cheating your way through a big competition, being an acclaimed rider, and losing your best friend.
Yeah, that's being a ski instructor.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
That's just
easy.
a typical season.
Wow, and here we were making fun of it.
It's a typical season on the slopes. So, to get into that, Stephen, would you mind telling us a little bit about your background in ski instructing, and then maybe through that, find a neat way to seg into how you first discovered Hot Dog the Movie?
Great, yeah. Well, I have been skiing my whole life. It's just one of those things that I have never not done. And when I was 15, I became part of the Canadian Ski Instructors Alliance, the CSA. It was my high school job, which was friggin' dope because I was at the ski hill every weekend anyways, and then I just started getting paid to be there and teaching people. My skiing improved for the next couple of years while I was in high school. I just got more certifications and more levels, like some freestyle stuff, some racing coach stuff, and then I went out to Sun Peaks, just outside of Kamloops, and taught for a couple seasons there. I've got, 7 or 8 years of ski instructing under my belt. And when I was up at Sun Peaks is when I was introduced to Hot Dog the Movie. I don't know who first showed it to me, but the first time I did watch it, it was amongst many drunk ski and snowboard instructors. So it was the way it should be
I
done.
have to imagine it's really the only way you could enjoy a movie like this.
And like to trace back to like who was the very first like ski instructor to have found it is like probably going back decades. Like it was probably recommended to someone who showed it. Well,
not
like,
decades.
1984.
It says 1984 right there.
All right.
So only a couple of decades.
Fine. 30 years.
Like 35 years, man.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Predates me.
Yeah, I just celebrated my 33rd, so.
Yeah.
35 years ago. It's basically 70 years ago, which is basically 100. This movie's 100 years old.
Yeah.
That's
when you round it up.
Give or take a few numbers.
Yeah.
But so, I just imagine that like, no one, it's just like this local legend that gets like kind of passed down to all the ski instructors.
It very much was. It's also like a diamond in the rough. Like you talk to people who are in the industry, like, oh, I've never seen Hot Dog the Movie. And you're like, oh my God, you've never seen it. And then you show them and they're like, how have I not seen this movie? And then they pass it on, and they pass it on, and they pass it on.
It's kind of
like a virus.
There you go. Much like many things that are in the ski instructor community.
It's kind of like I've been in the food service industry for quite a while, and it's kind of like waiting.
Right, of course.
Yeah, like when you were doing that, you first hear about that movie, and someone says, you haven't seen Waiting yet? I'm like, no, not really. And then you sit down, you're all like, it's this. It's exactly like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I work in the video game industry, and like the amount of times I got people asking me like, how much is it like the movie Grandma's Boy?
I knew you were gonna say Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
Although I will clarify, Hot Dog the Movie is not necessarily about ski instructing, not like the Aspen movie was. This one is more about.
Not you haven't
seen the episode.
As someone who hasn't seen it,
I just assume, but. Hot Dog the Movie is more about a hot dog, which is a term for someone who in the skiing community is like hot shit. They're just like...
like a showboat.
Like a showboat, exactly. So this is chronicling like a hot dog back in the mid-'80s, who is just a real good skier and all the little things. He's good at moguls and skiing and doing those like daffies and
very realistic depiction, I'd imagine.
It's actually not that far off. Like the style of skiing that they have in this movie was the pinnacle of skiing back in the mid-'80s.
I see.
So when you watch it, you're like, what the fuck are they doing?
I can't wait.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
All right, so for the people at home, just so to get a little background on this movie came out in 1984. It is directed by Peter Markle. He has mostly stayed in TV after this movie, but he's directed a couple of big screen movies after this one. 1986, he directed the Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze hockey movie Youngblood.
Blood. Anyone familiar with that?
No.
He directed the 1988 Vietnam War movie Bat 21 with Gene Hackman and Danny Glover.
Again,
another movie that's sailing right over my head.
I like big names, though.
Big names. He's worked with big names. The one other movie that he has directed that I have seen, to end it on a somewhat down note, he directed the 1994 comedy Wagons East, which was the last movie John Candy made before he died. He actually died on the set of that one.
And then they just reused a lot of footage of him in that movie, I think. Like, they did, the Fall Out Boy thing from Radioactive Man.
I think they did the, they did the whole thing where I think they had to, put his head on, another person's body. Maybe
they cut it off his dead body?
Yeah, well, it's just, he wasn't using it. He wasn't using it,
Different times.
He was a very committed actor, and he wanted to, he would have wanted the movie to
As
be
they're
finished.
going through the spine, it's what he would have wanted.
It's what he would have
We gotta finish the picture.
Don't tell his widow. The cast is filled with mostly unknowns, but there are 3 recognizable names in the cast. First is David Naughton, who plays the role of Dan. He's best known for his 1981 lead role in John Landis's An American Werewolf in London.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, an actual good, decent movie with a cult classic, and then for some reason, 5 years later, he decided to star in this.
Not for some reason. It's a fucking awesome movie.
Probably read the script and said, there, agent, put me in this piece of shit. I want to go to the mountains and have a fun time.
The other recognizable names are James Saito, who plays the role of Kendo, the Japanese skier. Now, that's not an immediately recognizable name, but he's got one pretty amazing credit, is that he played the Shredder in the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live-action movie.
I'm a fan, then.
Yep.
Turtles!
Yep.
They're babies!
Now, that was the second one.
Oh, that wasn't the
I believe
the same guy?
that was a different guy, I believe.
They're both wearing masks. I can't tell people apart when they're wearing masks. I'm sorry. I'll make that controversial
Jeez,
statement.
does everyone wearing a mask look the same to you?
Yes. Unrecognizable.
Do all Japanese ninjas wearing masks look the same to you, Jameson?
Who else is in this movie, Kaz?
And our third recognizable name is Canada's own Shannon Tweed, who I did not realize until looking this up yesterday is from Newfoundland.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's a porn star, right?
Well, she was like a Skinamax star, wasn't she? Or, I don't know.
All right, well, I guess that's all the backstory we really need. So let's jump into tonight's movie. Tonight's movie is brought to you by Innocent Gun Scotch Ale. It's not actually, but they didn't.
We're not fucking sponsored.
We're not
just
sponsored by it. We're
drinking
just drinking by it.
Sponsor us.
This
If
is.
you want to throw us a couple of t-shirts or some free beer our way, we're not gonna say no.
This really is the way. I tried rewatching this movie last night by myself just to get some more material on it. I got about halfway through, and then I had to kind of... Let me just say, sitting here with a couple of friends and some drinks, it's probably the only way you could watch a movie like this, because watching a movie like Hot Dog the Movie alone in your apartment at
Sober?
at 10:30 at night sober is one of the most depressing things I've ever done in my entire life.
We're gonna get you through this, Cass.
So let's jump right
on that note,
let's jump right into Hot Dog the Movie. We'll see you after the break.
Stay tuned.
Okay, and we are back.
Hello again, everyone.
Hello, everyone. We're back, and we've ensconced ourselves in the world of Hot Dog the Movie.
Yeah, after watching it again, it was definitely not as much.
Did it hold up?
No, it makes me second guess showing it to people, actually. For a long time, I was like, I gotta show my friends Hot Dog the Movie.
I have to imagine seeing that. I have to put myself into a mindset of being in my mid 20s or in college with my my buddies. Back in the day, we would a hot dog to us was our euphemism for marijuana. So that's where our level of maturity was. And this movie would have been tailor made for that kind of demographic.
Can I just interject here? I have been an avid smoker of the marijuana for most of my life now. Not once have I ever heard anyone refer to it as hot dog.
It's kind of it was an inside joke. Yeah. But that's kind of the level of thinking that's kind of required for a movie like this. Watching it now in 2019 as a 33-year-old woke man. It's
yeah.
This movie has I don't think I agree with this movie's principles.
No, Hot Dog the movie is a deeply, deeply problematic movie. There are multiple scenes that you just feel.
I feel bad. I feel dirty.
I feel very bad. There's one scene in particular where I felt really bad for all of the female extras because
they were featured extras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to include their real name in a movie like this.
So Hot Dog the movie. God, who are our main characters?
Okay, I wrote this down. Harkin is the white dude, the protagonist, the American guy, and his hitchhiker hanger-on named Sonny. Those are our protagonists.
It's good that you clarified that he was the white dude because this movie
has a lot of them.
It does.
There's diversely cast film, right? Yeah.
There's one person of color in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's the biggest
cast is whiter than the fucking snow on the mountain.
And it's the biggest stereotype.
Yeah.
That's the tagline for the movie. Cast whiter than the snow on the mountain.
I actually have two of the taglines for the movie here.
I saw those.
I'll bring them up. The first one is there's more to do in the snow than ski, which is more on the nose. But my favorite one is taste the sauce.
The sauce.
In Hot Dog the movie.
Really?
That's what it says. Taste the sauce.
All right.
Which is just gross.
This movie just seems like it was an excuse to, for a guy to take all his pals up to the mountain and write it off as some business expense or as a money laundering scheme. There's absolutely no plot to this fucking movie.
I think they just wanted to capitalize on. So I think Porky's came out in 1980, and that was sort of the start of the big sort of sex comedy boom of that era. It started before that with Animal House, but Animal House was
good.
Yeah. Well, it was new.
Yes,
there weren't a lot of movies like Animal House before that showed up, and I'd argue that Animal House has more of a budget behind it. It's a slightly higher class of sex comedy. This is closer to something like Porky's. This is something.
This is they're taking that premise and they're clearly exhausted and they're running out of ideas.
I really feel as though this is trying to be a certain genre of movie, but it's they haven't done the skiing niche yet.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking
do
about.
that one.
Exactly. That's what I mean. We established that some sleepy gas station where our main guy Harkin meets Sonny, who was kicked out of a van by the guy who was giving her a lift. He takes a shine to her and says, "Hey, where are you going?" "I'm going to San Francisco." "Well, you're in luck. I'm gonna head that way eventually, but why don't I give you a lift halfway there?" And then they form a bond. These two people.
I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's how these two mismatched characters meet each other.
Here's the thing. Everyone in this movie is terrible.
Yeah.
And they're all the worst. Well, actually, you know what? Some of the skiers aren't that bad. I didn't find David Naughton that bad. He was all right. I mean, he was a high functioning alcoholic, but he was all right. Kendo seemed nice. Kendo seemed like a decent enough guy. Actually, no, he was.
There's definitely a scene where he compared a woman's breasts to the Mount Fuji.
But he was just having fun because he knew that she couldn't understand what he was saying, so he was just having some cheeky fun. It wasn't like he was like, "Can I bury my face in your breasts?" And then he did it.
We need to elaborate on this a little bit. Yeah. So the two characters flash forward to the ski resort, and I guess they apply to a series of competitions.
Well, no, he made he was already signed up to compete.
He worked the whole summer to save up for
That's right, he did. So they check into this really sleazy motel where they get the honeymoon suite. They have somewhat of a relationship, but it's really hard to pin down exactly what it is because she keeps resetting the boundaries.
She's really very unclear with her intentions. She wants him to make a move on her, yet she makes it very clear that he should not by saying, "You stay on your side of the bed, you do this, you do that." But then she acts all disappointed when he doesn't make a move on her. It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's problematic because it's the type of movie that perpetuates that stereotype that women are like that, where it's all no, stay away from me, don't do that. Oh no, but when I was saying no, what I was really meaning was yes.
Absolutely.
And I can't help shake the feeling that movies like this in a certain way helped shape a lot of the seriously shitty men that are currently in our society today.
Yeah.
Because it reinforced these ideas in their head at such a young age. And you look back on a movie like this now, and it's really just a dinosaur of a different era. And at one point in time, you could have look at something like this and just like, it's just a couple of, lighthearted laughs, and you watch it now with new eyes and you're like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, like this movie takes place, I guess, in the era where it was acceptable for you to take a date to a titty bar.
Which is the next scene in the movie.
It is one of the longest scenes in the opening half of the movie.
It's actually not that long, but it feels like it goes on forever.
Yeah.
And that's a theme in this movie. Scenes go on forever. But yeah, they go to, I don't know necessarily if it's a titty bar, but it's a bar where they are having a wet t-shirt contest.
Hosted by Lester the Molester.
Lester the Molester, who, as Jameson pointed out, is the basis for the classic Sloan song.
Chester the Molester.
Oh, it's Chester the Molester.
Yeah,
they took some liberties with it.
Exactly.
It's fine,
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's just a random scene where these two characters who we've just been introduced to go to a bar where there's a wet t-shirt contest, and there's just a prolonged scene where a host is inviting women on stage, essentially harassing random women in the crowd to come up on stage and engage in this t-shirt contest. There's scenes of women being picked up by big, burly, bearded men and essentially just thrust on stage, and it's made all the more weirder by the fact that all of the women have huge smiles on their faces, and you just imagine like a scene like this in a serious drama, and it's basically nothing would have to change except for the women aren't enjoying themselves for it to be a wildly different
Could
movie.
you imagine if that scene had very different music rather than like upbeat party music? If it was like dramatic, deep, like it would be a rape scene almost. Yeah. The women are consensual for all those scenes except for this scene. This is like the only scene really where the women are literally like thrust on stage and shot with Alka-Seltzer on the chest and then poured water on and then molested by actually molested.
Onlookers.
To be fair, he did say up front that his name was the molester. So really, that's how you get,
because that
makes
kind of
that.
It makes it okay. I forgot. I forgot.
It's creepy. It's dirty. I didn't like it.
It's uncomfortable to watch because I couldn't shake the feeling, because the scene eventually just evolves into, like, the contest is over and people are just whipping their shirts off and men are just, grabbing the women's breasts, and I think Lester at one point in time just puts his mouth on just like a woman's breast without her permission, and like, none of it looks staged, and you just can't shake the feeling that a lot of these women probably were actually molested in this scene.
My eyes kept wandering away from what was the focal point of the scene to, like, the extras, because I just needed to look at something else, and I will say, a lot of these actors, like, this movie is like a time capsule. There is some fucking, like, grizzled old men 80s fashion, like the greaseball dad rocker mullet look, dirty 70s porn mustache that, I don't know, I find a hilarious look.
It seems like the direction for the scene was the director told the actors, was like, okay guys, so it's gonna be like a crazy party. We want you guys to like get kind of loose and fun. Whatever happens. You're gonna take off your shirts eventually. Yeah, see if you can like touch each other. It's all cool. It's for the movie. There's gonna be cameras around and just go. And like that's the direction, and the men are like, oh my god, we just got permission.
Let's dive down to our deepest, darkest, most primal selves.
Have either of you ever been to a wet t-shirt contest?
No.
Can't say I have.
No. That skipped me over as well too. They must have existed. They show up in movies enough, so I would have to think that one existed in reality at some point in time.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
So they didn't just make it up for the movie? I hope not.
This is the origin of...
Jesus.
Yeah. Something else I was wondering the origin of while watching this movie. What do you suppose was the first original appearance of the evil German ski baddie? Because Aspen Extreme had a couple, and this movie's got one too.
Mm-hmm.
He might be Austrian, but
Definitely Austrian.
definitely Austrian because they say it's written down. Okay, so
Like,
the Austrian ski baddie.
They get compared to Nazis just
Yeah.
because
The Eastern European.
right away they get accused of being Nazis
The
just because they're in the very first scene he's a little standoffish and rude, and Sonny, who's like super abrasive throughout the entire movie, she's like,
Hey, Adolf, somebody's talking to you.
and
Adolf?
like what the fuck, lady?
Just in like a semi-fancy restaurant.
And he's
as well.
like, we don't like he's a bit of a dick, but we don't know he's like the villain just yet. He's supposed to be this high profile best skier on the mountain.
I'm pretty sure we know he's the villain from the second he walks in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got our finger quote heroes, and we've got our villain. Let's talk about some of the other characters. Let's talk about
the Rat Pack.
the movie's biggest name, I guess, outside of Shannon Tweed, who we will get to later. David Naughton playing Chevy Chase from Caddyshack. Really,
He's called Dan O'Callahan. He is the coach of this ski trip.
Oh God, I didn't even catch.
He wasn't the coach. No, he was a participant.
He was a participant coach. So
well, he was like quote unquote like 5 years past his prime.
Mhm.
So he was in the competition, still really good, and
But like people just seem to gravitate towards him because like he'll buy you booze. Like that's his entire role. He's like this like functional alcoholic who's like just kind of wandering through life like fucking Jack Sparrow, and he supplies all the skiers with all the booze they can need. And in a movie like this, they need a character like that.
The thing about the characters, the supporting cast in this movie, is they all have one single attribute. And yeah, Dan is the functioning alcoholic. He's got the little hotel bottles of alcohol right in his ski vest. We've got Squirrel Murphy, who is crazy son of a bitch.
You think a movie wants to put you in the direction of he's a lovable loser and just needs to catch a break, but at no point in the movie do you think he deserves it.
never.
He's a monster.
And his main attribute is that he always has zinc oxide covering his nose, and it always looks fucking disgusting.
He's always either applying it or wiping it off or wiping it on.
And it's always
ridiculous.
greasy, and it's always just like sometimes you can like see the skin underneath it.
People still wear that on the ski slopes today.
Well, I imagine
but
so, because you get burned on the ski slopes.
Yeah, you just wear sunscreen though.
But just like an entire bottle's worth on your nose exclusively,
Just ridiculous.
There's Slasher, who is just like picture the 80s. Like, just picture, like, what 80s fashion and, like, aesthetic was. And he is a walking embodiment of it.
He was wearing the same sunglasses that... Do you guys remember...
Bebop would wear from...
Yes, Bebop!
Yeah, Turtles.
The single lens across the whole face.
Yeah. Good, actually, you're right. It's more like Bebop. It's more like Bebop than my example. I was going to say, do you guys remember the Burger King Kids Club?
Oh,
yeah, his example was much better.
Yeah, his example was better than mine, so yeah.
But yeah, I do remember Big Kid from Burger King.
No, they were the Bebop class. They were even the same color. So yeah,
There's
no, you're absolutely
proper
right.
name for it, but like fuck it,
They're Bebop glasses.
They're Bebop glasses.
I'm fairly certain that's what the name is.
And moving down the line, there was
Banana Pants.
Banana Pants,
yeah, like the token woman of the group.
Who's the girl?
Who's the girl?
And I don't think has a single fucking line in the movie.
However, I did look this up. Banana Pants was played by Lynn Wyland, who was the only actual skier in the entire movie.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's tragic.
She actually made the cover art, the American cover art, and she's like one of the featured people on the cover.
Yeah, because she's a woman.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, we need to emphasize the fact that there are chicks in this movie.
Her one defining
they're
trait
not represented well, but like they're in the movie.
Her one defining trait is the color of her pants. That is it. That is literally
His
it.
name Banana Pants. Oh, you didn't mention Slasher's main attribute which is that he's always wearing his headphones.
Yeah.
At all times.
Always like he can't hear anyone around him. Like he's always jamming up to some tunes. He can't he's essentially Baby Driver. He's at his best when he's like listening to music.
Yeah.
And then there's Kamikaze, or
Kendo.
actually Kendo. Yeah, the only ethnic character in the entire movie.
Yes.
Who only speaks Japanese except for his one English line at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He wears a Rising Sun headband at all times. He wears a kamikaze pilot helmet.
And here's another interesting piece of trivia that I looked up. James Saito does not speak a word of Japanese. And he fooled the entire crew for the first 3 weeks of filming into thinking that he was a native Japanese speaker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about, like, there was a ton of characters like that, like the stereotypical Japanese friend who exclusively spoke, like, in their native tongue, but, like, everyone around him could understand him, and they would speak English to him, and he would understand it. I equate that to just like Han Solo and Chewbacca's relationship.
Yeah, Squirrel and Kendo had a real Han and Chewie vibe going on, because it seemed like he was the only one that could understand what Kendo was saying most of the time. Sometimes
they can understand it, but they can't speak it.
Yeah. Sometimes there's subtitles.
Yeah.
And I'd say let's go into the plot more, but what fucking plot?
Okay.
What fucking plot? There's it's a series of
ski shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a series of scenes.
Sunny and the main character sleep together, and then they're all of a sudden kind of in a relationship. Skiing happens. It's unfair.
You know
the
what?
American,
I don't equate like them like sleeping together that one night to them being in a relationship, because she is like really strict, or like not strict. She's really wishy-washy with her boundaries.
That's the thing. Like, I feel as though it is to establish that they are in some kind of relationship, but then the movie just like throws it to the wind.
You know, I don't actually think the movie goes out of its way to establish that they are in a relationship. Here's my take on it. So he picks Sunny up. They have one night in a hotel where they don't sleep together. The next night they're in a different hotel and they do sleep together. And then the night after that they go to a party. Sunny immediately abandons, I'm going to call him Rocky because I've forgotten his name and I don't care to look it
You call
up.
him Rudy, but there's already a Rudy in this movie.
Yeah. So she immediately abandons him at the party, and then he hooks up with Shannon Tweed, and then she sees him hook up with Shannon Tweed, and she's instantly jealous, and then she goes off and I guess has sex with the evil German. It's kind of not terribly clear. He kind of just puts his hand up her towel in the sauna in another really uncomfortable scene to watch. I felt so... God, that was so rapey. Oh, this whole movie is so rapey.
Everyone in the sauna is like looking over the shoulder like, yeah, we know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, Rudy's...
His little Adolf is going to come out.
The Third Reich will rise again.
There it is.
It's springtime for Hitler.
God. But he eventually does.
Yours was the best. So yeah, no, Rudy sleeps with Sunny, which leads to one of my favorite lines in the entire movie, where damn it, Harcourt? What is his name? Harkin.
Hardcore.
Who names their main character Harkin? What a confusing, hard name to remember.
He's not a very good like lead character, anyways. He's just kind of like goes from scene to scene. He's good at sport.
So Harkin,
he's the most boring character in the entire movie.
Harkin and Rudy meet on the slopes, and there's kind of like a face-off, like there always is. And then this exchange of words happens.
Hey, little rookie, do you know what I had for breakfast this morning? Wheaties. Very clever, but no. No, it was quite the feast. Yeah, how do you say in your language? I had sunny side up, and I had sunny side down, and I had sunny side all the way around. You toe-sucking son of a bitch! Hey.
Yeah, that's the only reason why they named the character Sunny.
Pretty much, they started with that. That was the first line of dialogue written for the movie. So yeah, and then Sunny gets really upset that Harkin went off and slept with Shannon Tweed, who also has a character name, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to look that up. It's Shannon.
Sylvia, and Sylvia's one defining trait is that she wants to sleep with all the men. She wants to sleep with every character.
Does she want to sleep with every character? Because she only...
Well, she
only sleeps with the new meat.
She slept with O'Callahan.
Yeah, she slept with the German guy,
the Austrian guy, and then she slept with like the guy with alcohol.
Yeah,
and then she slept with him. So like the three main guys in the entire movie, she slept with.
Did she sleep with the guy with alcohol?
It's alluded to.
They implied that they had like a thing.
But that's the thing, is that I feel like a lot of the anything that we can't see, I'm inclined not to believe. And like I'm inclined to believe that Rudy didn't have full sex with Sunny. I don't think it went as far as
what do you mean?
Love it.
I was this close to saying full penetrative sex, and I decided to pull back. Full sex.
No, I think he's just fucking with him, and I think he got far enough along that he realized
He got to like
could,
second base or what? Like, what do you
You know
say?
what? I really feel as though you're overthinking this movie. In the sense that these characters have deeper motivations than, no, let's get laid.
I would argue overthinking movies that don't need to be overthought is exactly why we do this podcast in the first place.
That's true.
So
let's see. Moving on here. All right. So at one point, like it's mentioned that there's a ski competition going on. European sponsorship. So like all the judges are clearly biased in Rudy's favor.
You know, I kept waiting for there to be a scene where it was revealed that he paid the judges off, and we never got that. They just always gave him better marks, even though it was universally accepted that Harkin was the better of the two skiers.
Well, there was that one scene where O'Callaghan went in and talked to the officials when half the Europeans got in and half Americans got in. And he's like, oh, there was better American skiers than Europeans because there's European sponsors. So I feel as though that's sort of where they established that the Europeans are going to win because we need the European sponsors.
But like,
So
you're still participating in the sport. You know?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
right?
So what you're saying is that extended scene of talking is a scene that I should have been paying attention to?
Yes, that is.
That? Okay.
Yep. That single shot of three men awkwardly walking around like a 5x5 space, including a desk and a chair.
You know what? There wasn't any skiing. There wasn't any drinking. There wasn't any tits. I completely phased out.
Yeah,
I completely phased out.
You know what the best scene of the movie was? That entire mansion party. The stuff that goes on. Like, I wish that like I was like back in the 80s and I went to a party like that. Because they look kind of fun.
You know what's missing? Cocaine.
Yes. There was just like a lot of dancing and a lot of like mischief.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of drugs in this movie. A couple of joints got passed around.
Sonny definitely pops a pill in the truck on the way to the mansion scene.
But then she doesn't act drugged. She just acts totally normal.
No, and Harkin and her have that conversation where he's like, I'm being possessive and I don't appreciate you taking drugs. And she's like, yo, buddy, just like lay off. I think that was to establish some friction in the relationship. So when they got to the party, that's why they went their separate ways. She's like, I want to have my own free will. And he's like, Which
she is completely entitled to.
Absolutely.
They've known each other for 2 days. They've slept together once. I'm going to bring you to this mansion party. It's well within Sonny's rights to say, cool, I'm going to peace out and meet a whole bunch of other people. That's how that works.
I'll see you tomorrow or something. You know? Like,
literally, Sonny could have
Neither
just...
of them owe each other anything.
Literally, Sonny could have just like left and never seen him again, and that is totally fine.
She has an opportunity to leave. When she gets all upset, she packs up her bag and said she's going to California, and then for some reason, we see her buying a pair of skis, which as a teenage runaway, we have to imagine. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention, Sonny's 17.
Oh yeah,
apparently.
Yeah, she said.
Is that why we don't see her nipples?
Maybe.
Because Stephen pointed out while we were watching it that Sonny has a sex scene, but we never actually see nipples.
And she's the only woman who, we don't see the nipples of.
Yeah.
Is that I guess that's
I'm a little
true.
disappointed, though.
I guess that's true. Like, that's burlesque rules.
Yeah.
It's not smut if you don't show nip.
Yep.
I'm not gonna. I'll have to check with our lawyers on that, but sure.
And at the very start of the movie as well, some nondescript hotel owner is getting.
Oh, I love that.
Is getting fellatioed underneath. No, she's not. Cunnilingus underneath the water in a hot tub, and she stands out. Cunnilinguide. And she's stands
receiving
up.
oral sex from
full frontal.
We're having fun trying to come up with new terms for cunnilingus.
Fine.
Join the party.
All right.
I expect one from you by the end of this episode.
I'll work on it.
And she stands up and full frontal for like less than 10 minutes into the movie.
I like the scene where she comes out and she's all like, here's her room, standing there buck naked in front of the two of them. She says,
welcome to school. And call me if you need anything.
Yeah, could you wash your truck for us?
First thing in the morning.
Thanks.
I wanted to see the scene where she was actually washing the car for them.
In the buff.
Yeah. Either completely naked or just like earnestly washing the car. They get up in the morning, they go to the car and she's all like, oh hi, I'll have it done in a minute, and she's got like overalls on and like, didn't think you were actually gonna do that. And it's the middle of winter. It's kind of a weird time to wash a car. It's all frosted over. Back to the mansion party.
Oh god. when Chevy Chase mixed that drink for the lady.
Okay, we gotta talk about this.
We should probably talk about.
We're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna play this because this leads to my other favorite line in this movie.
A random woman cozies up to the bar where like the Rat Pack is hanging, not like the cool like Sinatra Rat Pack, like the ski bum Rat Pack.
How dare you call this group of people not cool?
Anyways, Dan O'Callahan says like, "Oh yeah, I'll mix you a drink."
May I recommend my specialty, the leg spreader? It starts with a little vodka and a touch of scotch. I love this. Then, a bit of brandy is a big touch. The skosh of Myers rum. And the blessings of a lemon twist.
And he proceeds to pour her like vodka, brandy, scotch,
and then something else, and then a lemon zest.
It's a very
oversized glass.
It is
as well.
It is
100% alcohol.
It's ridiculous. It's exactly the same thing I did when I was like.
It's your first time in mixing drinks, right?
Well, when I was like 8 years old, my family had a bar, and after dinner one night, I walked away from the dinner table, and I was like, Mom likes to have like an after dinner drink. I'm gonna go make a drink for my mom because I love my mom. And I went over to the bar and I did exactly that. I took all the liquor bottles and I poured it into a glass and I poured it all the way up to the top and I carried it back to the table. I was so proud. I was so excited to show it to her. And I'll never forget the look on my mom's face when she looked at it and she's all like, she took this glass of expensive liquid and she had to explain to me why she had to throw it out and she couldn't drink it. And that was the day I understood what alcohol was.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone!
It's that drink. It's literally
God.
that drink. Who puts vodka and scotch and brandy in the same glass? Yeah, but no, he serves it to her in a giant brandy snifter. She guzzles all of it.
In one go, like Mr. Leahy would be proud.
And it is a very Mr. Leahy-esque scene. And then she immediately passes out. Squirrel Murphy says the iconic line.
Now that's a girl I can take advantage of.
Wow!
I couldn't fucking, but your mouth was agape.
Yeah.
Your mouth was the level of agapeness that mine was the first time we watched that movie. Do you remember the reaction I had
yeah.
amazing.
when we watched that the first time?
I'm amazed like that was the first time I had ever seen that clip. Because you know like the worst lines from like bad movies kind of get repurposed on the internet or isolated. I had never seen that before in my life.
And of course...
And I hope the guy who plays Squirrel Murphy is ashamed of himself.
That entire mansion party, though, Squirrel Murphy is going up to different women and just propositioning them without even a starter lineup. He goes up to a woman and says,
Squirrel Murphy.
Georgette.
I suppose a fuck's out of the question.
so I guess a fuck is out of the question. And that's it. That is literally it. He gets a drink to the face.
Give a bit of build-up, Squirrel, you know? Like,
no, man, he's like right in there.
right into it.
Kind of girl he can take advantage of.
What are some of the favorite pickup lines you two have used in your youth?
Like
I'd rather
actual
not
reality?
say.
Yeah, that either worked or failed spectacularly. Actually, no. Strike the work. Just the ones that have failed spectacularly.
I once, I don't know if I should say this, I once at a party intentionally knocked a drink out of a girl's hand and said, looks like you could use a drink.
How did that work out for you?
Oh, I got yelled at.
Yeah, probably, yeah. It probably hurt a lot when you slapped the drink out of her hand.
I was dared to do it, but I thought, with enough confidence, I bet I could pull this off.
Oh, I was dared.
Well, I'm here to tell you with all the confidence in the world and the backing of all your friends, it will not work.
I had a friend once who told me a pickup line. I don't know if he actually did it or he just told me that he did it, but I'm like, I'm going to use that one time. And then one time at a house party, I decided that I would try it out. I went up to a girl and I just kind of like stared at her until she noticed me. And then when she looked over, I leaned in really close and I said, "Shh, I'm hitting on you. And it's working." Didn't work out terribly well.
Didn't work out?
Didn't work out terribly well. I believe I got laughed at, and then later on I saw her talking to a friend, and then she pointed at me across the room, and then her friend laughed at me. Did you have anything to contribute?
Yeah, one time when I was skiing, ski instructor.
Are you a ski instructor?
Yeah. Can you believe it? Did you?
What a
did I not
good
tell you?
movie for us
What a
to watch.
coincidence this has
you?
been.
I'm really glad that I picked this one.
Yeah, well, great. Out of the blue. I was at a bar, and where I ski instructed, the ratio men to women was horrible. There was at least like 5 guys to every 1 woman, and it was like near the tail end of the season, and I was just like, I don't fucking care, man. Because they were either hooked, shacked up, or I just didn't want to play that game anymore. And there was this girl who I was talking to, and it was kind of throughout the night, and we were talking, and she's like, like, I kind of forgot her name. She's like, do you remember my name? And I looked down at her chest, looked back up at her, and was just like, Cleavage? And she's like, no. And that was the end of the night.
That was a pickup line?
No, I was just
That was
kinda,
less of a pickup line than you just
More
kind
of an exit.
That was less
exit line.
It was less of a pickup line and more of a you just kind of being shitty to them.
Yeah. Smash cut to you getting thrown out of the house like Jazzy Jeff style in Fresh Prince.
Exactly. That was my exit line. I was like, I don't want to play these games.
Anyways, moving on. Later on in the movie, there's a thing called the ski ballet. Can we talk about this?
Let's talk about this because you were mentioning, Stephen, that this is an actual real thing. Let's
ski ballet.
Talk about the legitimacy of ski ballet.
Ski ballet took place like way back in the 70s and was an Olympic exhibition sport. So it almost became an official Olympic sport back in the late 70s and early 80s. And it's basically where the athletes take really short skis so they have really good maneuverability, and they do basically ballet or like figure skating while going down a very gentle slope with extra long, strong poles. They do things like flips over top of their poles, they jump up on their tips and tails and spin around in circles, and then do all kinds of weird sort of footwork where they cross their feet and come around and do weird turns, and it looks not very good compared to like figure skating or really any other kind of dance aspect of a sport. It's just, I can see why it didn't make the Olympic cut.
Yeah,
I gotta say, like, that sport looks incredibly difficult to pull off and to make look really well. It does not look especially cool to me.
It's one of those sports that's probably really hard to do, but that doesn't mean it doesn't look fucking ridiculous.
I think if you saw like single moves, like if you were seeing someone come up to the lift line at the bottom of a ski run and they just like plant their poles, just a single like flip over it. And but the
to
fact
watch
that,
a competition of it is
yeah.
lame.
Apparently the routines were like 1.5 to 2 minutes, like for each individual, and they would go down and it would be so boring. It would be so boring and uneventful to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where like fucking Rudy and the white guy are like super neck and neck into it.
Rudy and the white guy skiing down the slopes, solving lots of crimes,
being sports rivals.
Jesus.
Rudy and the white guy. Thursdays at 8 on NBC. So really, the rest of this movie is just a series of competitions.
They're gonna sabotage the other guy's equipment. You know, it's all.
Oh yeah,
it's all good.
That's a thing that happens. So, feed me the character names again. Dan and
Chevy Chase and the white guy.
Chevy Chase and the white guy. Chevy Chase and the white guy. It's a spin-off from Rudy and the white guy.
Gotta save Rudy. Chevy Chase teaming up with the white guy.
So yeah, they just sneak off one night in the middle of the night, break into the Austrians' tool shed.
Equipment room.
Equipment room. Thank you.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Skis are a tool. They are a tool to help you ski. Tool shed. I stand by what I said.
But it literally says Austrian equipment room.
Kaz, you've never watched sports a day in your life, have you?
But no, they go in and they actually sabotage Rudy and his team's skis by like loosening a screw.
Yeah.
You mentioned you know exactly what happens.
Yeah, I've actually done that by accident with skis that I've been wearing. Like, something happens, you damage your skis, and they release the bindings, they unscrew the bindings themselves from the ski. And then as they're skiing along, they just fall down. They don't actually have an accident. Like, I have had the back of my binding pop off while I've been skiing, and the ski just flies off and continues down the slope without you.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's actual, what they do in the movie is actual sabotage.
They break their skis, yeah.
They break their skis. What is the margin for injury for something like that? You're just like skiing and then all of a sudden one of your skis just flies off.
I guess it would be the same as if you were just like skiing normally.
If you
so
just fell.
no higher than
Right,
normal.
okay.
Where you had mentioned that they would not have been able to have gotten going.
Yeah,
at the starting line.
Their skis would have their skis are broken at this point in time because the screws were like slightly undone, so they would have pulled the screws out and like delaminated the skis essentially.
They're halfway down the mountain when all of a sudden like they blow a tire.
And it all and it happens to all of them all at the same time. Like
Conveniently.
like 7 people all lose that one screw at the exact same point in time. How much drinking did you do while skiing? Because if this movie is to give
any
me
indication,
it's a lot.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after après bevies for sure. As
what
well
about
as
during?
Yeah, we weren't talking about after bevies.
I was gonna get there, guys. Definitely, guys. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than because you have snow, so you go up with like a 12-pack and you stash your beers in the snow throughout the day. You come back and hit your stash up every time. Cold beers. It's
All
great.
right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Or you get your backpack. Oh yeah, I'm definitely akin to a slopeside bevy. Absolutely.
All right. There we go.
So there's more truth than fiction in this movie.
You weren't wrong when you said
No,
this
there's one truth.
Nobody gets busted for sabotaging the skis. Nobody gets in trouble for property damage or drinking on.
Well, I have to imagine if they sabotaged their skis before a competitive event where there was, like, points on the line and whatnot, it would have been a bigger deal, but I guess they planned it so that they just would have done, like, a free run.
I guess so.
But what if Rudy had decided not to go skiing that morning? What if he said, you know what, I'm going to have a morning in and I'll just go to the competition fresh and rosy-cheeked and then we won't have to worry about it.
Well,
and then just biffed and then just bailed.
Let's skip ahead to the end of the movie where there's what happened? Like Rudy got the trophy.
Rudy gets the overall trophy.
Just because apparently the judges were paid off, or something happened, right?
Yes.
It's not stated.
The crowd was not on Rudy's side.
It would make a lot of sense if they were paid off, but it's never like...
Yeah, that's an easy 2-line addition to the movie that they could have added to make that whole thing make a lot more sense.
Instead, they decide to have the Chinese Downhill, a winner-take-all competitive event.
And if you're like Kendo and you want to know...
What the fuck is a Chinese downhill?
A Chinese downhill is essentially just a free-for-all.
Yeah, it's...
And you said that you took place in a Chinese downhill.
And you know what, this was when I was a kid growing up in Saskatchewan, and there
are no mountains.
The ski slopes are literally just like into a river valley, and there's nothing to do. So you just hit each other as you go down the hill, and you see if you can race each other. Yeah, that's what I participated. And we called it a Chinese downhill as well before we had seen this movie. So clearly,
it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Okay.
Like it's a thing.
Now, when you did it, did you have
gadgets?
Did you have spikes? And did you have a little helmet that
was it akin to Wacky Racers?
No smoke screens.
No smoke screen. No banana peels.
Clearly, I should have watched this movie when I was a youth, so I could get inspiration.
Yeah.
God, it's barbaric, the things that happen in this scene. I feel bad for the stunt people. There's one sequence where a guy who's bombing down the hill at 100 miles an hour goes chest first into some rocks and then tumbles over, lands on some powder, and then collides with another incoming skier, and then they both tumble down some more rocks.
It's a very long sequence.
It doesn't look rehearsed.
No,
it doesn't look intentional.
It looks bone crushing, is what it looks like. It looks like these were all stunt people / professional skiers, and this entire thing is just we're gonna go down this hill and I implore you to bail. Please, I implore you to just tumble down this hill. Oh, it wasn't in this scene, but it was in an earlier scene where whoever's skiing for Kendo just keeps constantly just rolling and hitting his head.
It's actually called tomahawking.
Oh, yeah?
When you fall so fast that you, rotate through the air as though you're a tomahawk flying through the air.
Head over heels.
Head over heels, yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever tomahawked?
No, not quite that hard. I've definitely scorpioned, which is where you fall flat on your face so hard that your legs come and hit the back of your head. Yeah, definitely done that.
The skis on them?
No, not with the skis. You usually fly out, you double front eject.
Right.
Feet to the back of the head, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Worse on a snowboard.
Yeah, I can imagine, probably, yeah.
Another reason not to snowboard.
Zing, take that, snowboard.
There's a reason we've done 2 ski movies.
Yeah, if there's any snowboarders listening, I'll talk slower.
Please don't boycott snowboarders. We need all the.
We know all these we can get. Yeah, we love you,
can get,
snowboarders.
Yeah. We apologize on behalf of our guest Stephen Beaver.
I don't.
He will not be back.
So yeah,
but Chinese downhill, like it's just an insane event. Like they're punching each other down the mountain, they're kicking people, stabbing people with their poles. Like at one point, like someone just like skis entirely through the dining area of some chalet. They don't seem to like mind or care that.
Like they go up to them at the end of it all. It's all like, so here's the bill for all of the damages that you did while skiing through the chalet and through several picnic tables, plus like a couple people's hospital bills since you clearly couldn't avoid all of them at the exact same time.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Chinese downhill. No rules.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. It's a Chinese downhill.
Everyone, it's a Chinese downhill.
Chinese downhill. Sorry, everyone. All right, well that's I'll just rip the bill up now and just like toss it away.
No rules. Chinese downhill.
Exactly.
No, can I get you anything? Can I get you a sandwich, sir? So before this, Rudy has won the competition. He's won like the big gold trophy, but they agree ahead of time that the Chinese downhill is going to end with whoever gets to the end first and whoever can literally grab the trophy from the other person.
Doesn't matter how many points you get in the actual competition. It's up for grabs now. Anyone can get it.
I have to say, in terms of like final ski challenges of the movie, the rules of this one made more sense to me than the one in Aspen Extreme. So, if you haven't seen the movie or listened to the episode, so Aspen Extreme ends with this competition where I'll simplify it. It's the evil German team and the good team do like this thing that's just like figure eights down the mountain, and the German team does it so well that they all get perfect 10s from 3 of the judges, and then the American team, the main guy's all like, "Watch me and follow my lead, rookie," and he goes down the rougher side of the hill that isn't.
It's out of bounds.
It's out of bounds for the competition. So immediately it's kind of like out of bounds. Okay, well then disqualified, right? That's what out of bounds means. But they go down the rougher part of the hill. They get to the bottom. They get 3 10s, and then one of the judges holds up a 4th 10. And that's how they win 30.
40 out of 30.
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's not a thing, right?
Yeah, it is actually.
Is it?
Are you kidding?
No, it's not a thing.
Jesus. I'm going to have to take down that episode.
No, it's not a thing. Oh my god. All right, we got to wrap up. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about the grossest scene in the movie. Squirrel Murphy getting a blowjob in a gondola.
As he's applying zinc all over his face, literally all over his face.
Oh god.
A woman somehow is attracted to him and slowly unzips her top and points out that he's missed a spot.
She is all over him in that gondola, and I'm just kind of thinking, like, lady, you have to have some standards for yourself. And like,
none of the
how
women
long has it been?
None of the women in this movie have any standards, but this woman has no standards.
I'm sure it was a weird cut and a misjudgment on hair and makeup's part, but Squirrel Murphy is covered in zinc, and then the woman goes over to him and starts making moves on him. Cut to him not having zinc all over his face.
Well, she rubbed it in.
She rubbed it in,
She rubbed it in with her mouth.
She licked it off.
She licked it off.
Like his face was moist and wet, and it just looks like she was like all in my mouth.
And then she like unzips his ski jacket where he has
his
like,
one piece,
and he just has like the hairiest belly of all time.
It's the grossest scene in the movie, and keep in mind, multiple scenes in this movie feature sexual assault. And this is the grossest thing that happens in this fucking movie.
God,
yeah, what a treat. This was a pleasant surprise.
What was your highlight of the movie? What did you guys enjoy?
Now that's a woman I can take advantage of. You already know. Guys, I can't fucking believe that.
I will say that the actor, I don't know who played, but like Dan O'Callaghan, He was genuinely kind of like a lovable scamp.
Yeah.
He was perfect for a movie like this.
Well,
he would be like the most fun role to play.
Have you seen An American Werewolf in London?
I have not.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
My God.
It's such a classic. It's John Landis who did Animal House and the Blues Brothers, and he said, I'm going to make a horror movie now, and it kind of had like a black sense of comedy to it, but it's also just a straight up horror movie.
Did you guys just find your next movie to watch?
No, because people know what that is.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The whole
podcast.
The whole deal with this is we do movies that no one has ever heard of.
I gotta say, my favorite, I think, is The Chinese Downhill. Just like how ridiculous of a climax to the movie it is, and how long it goes on, but it's also some ridiculous, like, straight line and skiing.
You know, it's not a terrible sequence. It's actually, yeah, I will say, like, The Chinese Downhill is really fun to watch.
Yeah, and the stunt work in it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. I think another one of my favorite lines was when they check into that honeymoon suite, and she finds the heart-shaped bathtub, and she turns it on. She's like, how does it work? How do you fucking think a bathtub? It's still a bathtub.
Just after she turns it on, too. Let me just turn this on. How does it work?
I think she was talking about the jacuzzi jets, but what I noticed while watching it this time is the camera is set up in a certain way where we don't see the bottom of the tub, and I don't think that tub did have jacuzzi jets, because when they turned the jacuzzi jets on and they splash in their face, they're all like, oh, hee hee. All we see is just a splash of, like a big splash of water come up. I bet a PA was in the bottom of that tub, and he just had a handful of water and just threw it up into their faces, because it did not look like what a jacuzzi jet looks like.
But as far as like highlights of this movie go, I didn't have a lot of.
No.
A lot of this movie made me kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That probably leads into the question we always ask on this show. Jameson, would you recommend watching this movie?
I mean, it's always like a yes or no question with this. Like, I want to say like a maybe to it.
I agree with you.
You know, like a rare maybe.
It's a solid maybe. It is a circumstantial sure.
Yeah.
Steven, what do you think?
You know, I'm gonna stick to my guns and say it's a solid no.
It's a solid
If
no.
someone asked me if they're like, oh, Steven, do you know any good ski movies? I would say, I know a ski movie that you probably don't want to watch.
Right.
It's horrible, and I don't agree with a lot of things that happen in it. It's a movie that was much better in my memory than it was rewatching it.
And that's really big on you, too, because I know this is a movie that you have, like, a personal connection to, but after watching it now...
You fucking ruined it.
You're welcome, that's what I do! I didn't ruin it, men did.
I would honestly...
We ruined this movie.
Time did.
Yeah.
I would honestly not... This is probably going to be the last time I'm going to watch this movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what? Same with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe we've turned the clock around to a no. I think we've agreed on the consensus
I think we fixed all the problems in the world by watching Hot Dog the movie.
If someone was trying to write like a thesis on bad movies and misogynistic men and where we all came from and why men are the way they are, I'd be like, no, I got a movie for you.
Yeah.
But other than that, I wouldn't recommend it for entertainment.
No, it's a very problematic movie. I think as three white men, we can probably enjoy this on a certain level. But if we were watching this with a woman also in the room, I bet she'd have a completely different reaction.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think I would be able to make it through this entire movie if I was watching this with a woman.
If I don't want to watch it with a woman, then why would I need to watch it with men, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so a couple more things that I want to add before we officially wrap up the podcast here. Something that I've done before is I've looked up what this movie is called in different countries. Oh. There's a couple of fun ones.
Hot Dog, the movie doesn't translate well over the sea.
You surprisingly not. So in Denmark, this movie is called Skiskolens Varme Piger, which translates to Ski School's Hot Girls.
Okay.
In France, it's called Cassicou en Liberté, which translates to Daredevil in Freedom, which I feel is kind of missing the point of everything here.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite comes from West Germany, which is Der Typ Men dem Heiben Ski, which translates to the guy with the hot ski.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Really, makes about as much sense as this fucking movie.
Yeah. And the other thing that absolutely tickled me pink when I found this out as I was doing my regular deep dive into the cast and crew of this movie is that this movie was written by a guy named Mike Marvin. So I looked into his career, his filmography.
Because you're crazy.
Because this is what I do with my fucking life and my free time, and when I'm supposed to be doing so. I have a problem, basically. This entire podcast is a cry for help. But Mike Marvin has gone on to write some other films, but he also went off and had a directing career of his own. And the first film that he directed, the writer of Hot Dog the Movie. Both of you take a guess what the writer of Hot Dog the Movie's next film was called.
The next one?
Yes. The first film that he directed.
Oh, God. Like,
Sausage the movie?
Sausage the Movie?
God, like, I want to say some, like, prestigious Oscar bait.
Right? Yeah.
Can't, you know, like, I give up. Like,
Okay.
I want to say Schindler's List, but Schnitzer's List.
Okay. Schnitzel's List is pretty good.
Yeah.
Schnitzel's List is pretty good.
That's the porno.
No. So the guy who wrote Hot Dog the Movie went on to direct a movie called Hamburger the Motion Picture.
What?
Are you fucking kidding
I
me?
wasn't far off.
No, you
Oh
were
my
pretty close.
God.
My favorite thing about that, he didn't write it. Someone else wrote
And
it.
is it what? Is it about fucking like water skiing or something? Like,
Well, funny you should bring that up, Jameson, because
Kaz, I don't know if I can watch another skiing movie. Back to back skiing.
what I will say is that Hamburger the Motion Picture does not feature any skiing, and the entire movie is on YouTube. And join in next week because we'll be taking a look at Hamburger the Motion Picture. Yes, it's a trilogy. We're going to be doing this. Then we can watch something else, I promise. Then we can watch something else. Steven, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for lending us your time.
Yay.
And
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You're
and
welcome.
Thanks for ruining a youthful memory for me. It's definitely a movie that I will not think of as favorably anymore, which is good because it was problematic and I don't want to think about...
You've grown as a person.
I have grown as a person.
Are there any other skiing movies that you have seen that you hold in fond memory?
I hold many a ski movie in fond memory. There's not a lot of movies that I know of that are like ski movies with a story, with a plot. Yeah, we call them ski porn because it's just athletes skiing down mountains.
And to be fair, that was the best part of Hot Dog, was just watching the skiing. So really, that's all you need.
I didn't feel like an asshole when I was watching the skiing.
7 Sunny Days is a movie that comes to mind because I watched that about the same time that I watched Hot Dog the movie for the first time. Great soundtrack, really cool skiing.
Right on.
You know, features BC locations. So watch that movie.
Okay, great. There you go. Go watch 7 Sunny Days. Go watch a good movie and stay away from this horribly outdated, problematic piece of crap. Until next time, catch you then.
I have one final thing to say.
Find it out.
The Lick Ness monster fighting the little man in the boat. That's a little callback to come up with a better euphemism for going down on a girl. Good night, everybody.
It had to have the word cunnilingus somewhere in there.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought it was
It's
just
all right.
about going
You know
down
what?
on a girl.
And we'd like to thank Casper the mattress, the meticulously designed mattress.
No, we don't do that.
Oh,
no,
damn
they
it.
didn't return our phone calls. No, they didn't do
Son
that.
of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a phone call from the Casper mattress people now.
Strongest ending ever. Strongest ending yet. We're getting so much better at this. Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.